Thank you very much. Oh, thank you so much. I'm very, very appreciative. Well, again, I want to thank all of you for helping me be the first person to defeat an incumbent auditor in 40 years. It was an uphill battle, but with somebody like Roy Blunt at the top of the ticket, it made it a whole lot easier. So thank you very much, Senator Blunt. What we ran on were three things. That if the Republican were in the auditor's seat for the first time in many years, you would have quality, you would have accessibility, and you would have accountability. And the first thing we did when we got in office is I looked for a top senior staff of unparalleled competence. And for example, we have Daryl Moore, former Greene County prosecutor, agreed to be my litigator. I mean, this is a real step forward. Trish Vincent is my director of administration. This is a person who's been chief of staff to a governor, head of the revenue department. She's my director of administration. Those of you know Harry Otto, a long time Jefferson City Republican and former head of the Missouri Society of CPAs, agreed to be my deputy. The first thing we did is put in the most quality and competent staff this auditor office has ever had, and it's already paying dividends. With respect to accessibility, it seemed like it's something we should have done a long time ago, but we put in what's called a citizen summary. Every audit has in plain English a summary of what we found and whether these people are doing a good job or not, excellent, good, fair, poor, and why, because the audits are long and dense, and then people throw them on a shelf. They don't know what they mean. Now you can just go on our website and read, how did this agency perform? How did this group perform? How did this police department perform? How did this fire district perform? And everybody across all Missouri can now understand it. Didn't seem too hard, but it had never been done before. We have the grading system, and I also promised tracking of the federal stimulus money. You know, that's borrowed money. That's not tax money. That's borrowed money. It's been appropriated, and it's gone down to the agencies. It doesn't get the media it used to get, but now is when it's being spent, and that's where I come in, and I'm going to make sure that money is not wasted. We didn't want it, but if it's there, it's not going to be wasted. So we have a whole program in place now to track that stimulus money and report. In every audit, there's going to be a section on how that stimulus money was being used and whether it was wasted or achieved any purpose whatsoever. And then the last thing was accountability, and that's what our chairman just talked about. We instituted the first ever rapid response team. If somebody's embezzling and there's an allegation that evidence is being destroyed, we will be in there the next day, again led by Daryl Moore. He's going to lead that team. That's why I wanted a prosecutor on my staff. And also a follow-up mechanism. You know, we had a lot of people saying, well, we got audited and we weathered that storm and there'll be a new auditor 4 or 8 or 10 years whenever you get back here, and they just put it on a shelf and they don't care about making the recommendation or implementing the recommendations we talked about. That isn't going to happen anymore. We have a follow-up team that's going to, if we have to put people under oath, whatever we do to make sure that when we find serious fraud, waste, and abuse and corruption, it is immediately corrected. And again, that was thanks to this high-quality staff we put together and many ideas I got from people in this room. So thank you very much. I wanted to make a couple of observations. I was very lucky to run for statewide office when there were only 2 statewide offices running. I mean, we had Senator Blunt at the top of the ticket and me at the bottom of the ticket, and it was tough. Getting your message out across the state is very difficult. This year, we have a much bigger challenge this year and next year. We've got to get a Republican president in Cary, Missouri. We've got another Senate race. We've got a governor's race. We've got 4 down ticket races. It's going to be very, very hard to win those races unless we really approach this with even more energy, even more vigor, and even more enthusiasm than we had before. But just from my brief experience in politics, I'll make a couple of suggestions. I think when there's this much clutter in the field, there's 3 things we're going to need to do. First of all, we have to have candidates that can explain things with clarity. I was listening to KMOX the other day, and Congressman Aiken was on there explaining about the budget deficit, and I said, that's the kind of clarity we need. We need to find candidates that can explain why we can keep taxes low and rid ourselves of the deficit. We have to get people who speak with that kind of eloquence and that kind of clarity in order to beat the Democrats. And so look for candidates who express our viewpoints clearly. The second thing we need to be is the party of integrity. We need to show that while we have strong moral values, those are translated into good public service. People who like to do things for the public, not who want to advance their own careers or have big egos or who are ambitious, just people who enjoy public service. We have got to be the party of integrity if we're going to break through all the clutter and win back all of those offices going forward. It's very, very important. And the last thing I think, and I think this is the biggest challenge, you know, I think we won in 2010 because everyone was so darn mad at Obama and what he was doing to this country. We could win on anger. And I think that's what we did. We won because people were mad. They wanted to get rid of the Democrats. Well, President Obama's a clever guy, and he's not going to let that happen again. And I think the only way we win all these offices back in 2012 is if we can express our frustration along with a message of optimism, that if we reduce the size of government, if we keep taxes low, if we get people back to the fact where you can have some dignity and hard work and actually do something with your life without the government oppressing you, there's a beautiful and wonderful future for the United States. We are not a country in decline. With a few adjustments and some more Republicans in office, we are the party of optimism. We are the party that can have the future of this country in our hands. We can restore the greatness that's been taken over by the big government and the debt with getting some good conservatives in there. If we can project optimism, we will find that we will have another Republican senator, we will have a Republican governor, we will have every corner office in the State House will be owned by Republicans in 2012. Thank you for helping me last year. I'm honored to be your auditor, and I look forward to working with you going forward. Thank you.